The distress signal began as a soft whisper in the dark. It came from a small alien colony on the edge of the galaxy, a place most maps did not even show. The colony was peaceful, simple, and quiet. Families lived there. Children played in the dusty streets. No one expected danger. No one expected death. But that night, the sky above the colony changed color. A huge shadow moved across the stars. The ground shook, the houses trembled, animals screamed. And before anyone understood what was happening, the colony's defense towers went silent. Something had destroyed them, and one hit something fast, something powerful, something no one had ever seen. Inside the main control room, an old alien named Rilico pressed a button with shaking hands. His voice cracked as he spoke into the transmitter. Emergency. Emergency, we need help. Anyone. Please. He did not know if his words were reaching anyone, but he still tried. He had to. Around him, the control room lights flickered. Blue and red. Screens went black one by one. A low growl-like noise echoed outside, so deep it felt like the air itself was crying. Rilico sent the distress signal again, and again, and again. Then he waited. Across the galaxy, the message reached. Dozens of alien empires, huge starships heard it. Military bases heard it. Governments heard it. And every single one of them turned away. The first empire said, "No, that colony is lost. Saving them is impossible." The second empire said, "It is a trap. Do not answer." The third empire said, "The enemy is too strong. This is not our problem." Some commanders even laughed. "Let the fools die. We cannot risk our ships." Silence grew, cold, heartless. Final. Inside the dark colony, the survivors felt that silence like a knife. Their hope was dying. Families cried and held each other. Some prayed. Some screamed. Some simply stared at the ground because they had nothing left to say. Rilico looked at the sky and whispered, "So this is how we end." But the signal had traveled farther than anyone guessed. Past alien borders, past safe zones, past military shields. It reached a small blue planet with oceans, mountains, and a species known across the galaxy for two things: fearlessness and madness. Humans. The distress signal hit a human space station orbiting Earth. A young technician named Mark was drinking cold coffee when he heard the message. At first, he thought it was static. Then he heard the trembling voice of Rilico begging for help. Mark sat up straight. His eyes widened. "What the?" he whispered. He replayed the recording. Then he replayed it again. The fear in the voice felt real. Too real. He quickly called the station commander. Within minutes, alarms began ringing through the space station. Officers rushed into the command center. Medics, engineers, communication specialists, everyone listened to the distress signal in silence. One officer spoke. "Do we know what is attacking them?" "No, sir," Mark said. "But every alien power has ignored their call. No one wants to go." The room went quiet. Humans had a history with alien empires. Most aliens considered Earth a deathworld, a place too dangerous, too wild, too unpredictable. Humans grew up fighting storms, volcanoes, diseases, predators, and disasters. They adapted. They survived. They pushed through everything with stubbornness that other species did not understand. Humans were not stronger. Humans were not faster. Humans were not more advanced. But humans refused to give up no matter what. The commander slowly stood up, his jaw tight, his eyes sharp. "So the galaxy abandoned them," he said. "Yes, sir. And we are the only ones who heard it." "Yes, sir." The commander looked at the screen again. Rilico's terrified voice repeated over and over. "Please. Anyone, we are dying." Then the commander said the sentence that changed everything. "Prepare a rescue team. We're going." The officers stared at him in shock. "Sir, that area is dangerous. We don't know the enemy. No one else dared to help. The commander raised a hand, and that is exactly why we must. Humans did not run from darkness. They walked into it. News spread through the space station. In minutes, volunteers lined up: soldiers, pilots, engineers, medics, and even a few civilians. Every one of them had the same reason: if we don't help them, then who will? As the human rescue ship prepared to launch, the galaxy's empires watched in disbelief. They whispered, "Deathworlders are insane. Why would they go? They will die. They cannot survive that place." But humans did not listen. The engines roared, the ship lifted, and Earth made a promise to the galaxy: we do not abandon the helpless. The story had begun. The distress signal kept playing on a loop inside the human space station. Relico's trembling voice echoed through the command center, filling every corner with fear and sadness. Many officers stood frozen as they listened again and again. Why is nobody helping them? A young pilot whispered. Mark, the technician who first caught the signal, didn't answer. He couldn't. He could only hear the old alien's last desperate words. "Anyone, please, we are dying." Commander Hawley entered the room, his boots echoing across the metal floor. He was older than most officers there, with a calm but commanding presence that made everyone straighten their backs. He listened to the recording one time. Only once. Then he looked around the room and asked one question: "Has any alien government responded?" "No, sir," an officer replied. "They all ignored it." Holly nodded slowly. "Of course they did." The room fell quiet. Everyone knew what he meant. Aliens avoided anything dangerous, anything unknown. They survived by staying away from trouble. Humans survived by running into it. Holly pressed a button to stop the recording. "Prepare the rescue team." That one order moved the entire station. The volunteers arrived within 10 minutes. The preparation bay looked alive with chaos. Armor-clattered tools were carried. Engines warmed, medics rushed in, soldiers tightened. And no one was forced to be there. Every single human present was a volunteer. A young engineer named Tessa placed her hand on the side of the Horizon Spear and whispered, "Don't fail us today." The ship was old, scratched from old missions, but it was reliable like every human who had flown it. A tall soldier with tattoos across his arm looked at Hala. "Sir, if that colony is still alive, we'll bring them home." Hala nodded. "That's why we're going." Mark approached the team awkwardly. "Commander, I'm not a soldier, but I want to come. I heard the message. I can't forget it." Holly studied him for a moment. "Then you come. Rescue needs more than guns. It needs courage." Mark felt pride swell inside him. Other species watch in shock far across space. Alien ambassadors opened emergency reports. Their screens lit up with a message everyone feared to read. Humans preparing for entry into Forbidden Zeon. The ambassador of the Cheyenne Empire gasped. "Are they mad? That colony is doomed." The ambassador of the Valkyr said, "We warned them. We said no one survives there." A third alien, shaking, whispered, "Why do they go? Why risk their lives for strangers?" None of them had an answer, but they all watched. Because when humans moved, the galaxy paid attention. Back in the human space station, Tessa checked oxygen tanks. Kerr inspected weapons. Medics prepared stretchers. Mark connected his scanner to the ship's systems. Everyone prepared like it was the last day of their lives, because it might be. Commander Hawley stood on the platform, watching everyone move. With purpose, he didn't have to yell or motivate anyone. Humans were strange like that. When somebody needed help, they simply acted. An officer approached him quietly. "Sir, the aliens are laughing at us. They think we're going to our deaths." Hawley smirked. "Good. They underestimate us. That's the only advantage we ever have." Suddenly, a broadcast played through the speakers. It was Relico's voice again. They broke through walls. Children screaming, Please, anyone." Everyone froze for one moment. Just one. Then they moved twice as fast. Tessa wiped tears from her eyes and whispered, "Hold on. We're coming." The crew felt the shift as they crossed into forbidden space. Lights flickered. The ship groaned. Strange static danced across the windows like living electricity. Mark whispered, "It already feels wrong here." Halle answered, "Good. That means we're getting close." Every alien power had run away from this place, but humans? Humans stepped forward. They were the only ones who answered the call, and the galaxy had no idea what that choice would change. The horizon spear drifted deeper into the silent region of space, a place alien maps labeled only with one word: forbiddens. No trade routes passed through it. No colonies survived near it. Even pirate ships stayed away. It was like flying into the mouth of a sleeping monster. Inside the ship, the lights dimmed as the shielding systems worked harder. Strange static moved across the windows, like invisible hands brushing the glass. The crew felt a strange heaviness, like something ancient was watching them. Mark sat at his station, staring at the sensor screen. It flickered again and again, unable to decide what it was detecting. "Commander," he said quietly, "it feels like the sensors are seeing shadows." Commander Halle leaned forward. "Shadows don't move." "That's the problem, sir," Mark whispered. "These do." Before Halle could respond, the ship jolted hard once, then twice, as if something massive had brushed against it. The pilots grabbed the controls. What was that? No impact detected. No damage on the hull. Sergeant Lyra stepped closer to the window and narrowed her eyes. The darkness outside was not normal. It seemed thick like a living fog. Sometimes it twisted. Sometimes it pulsed. Sometimes it moved in slow waves as if breathing. "This place is wrong," Lyra said. "Feels alive." One of the engineers muttered, "Maybe that's why no alien enters this region." The ship continued forward, engines humming low. Every sound inside felt louder: the clicking of buttons, the soft footsteps, the quiet breaths of the crew. Even the air felt colder. "Listen," Mark whispered. Everyone froze. Something was tapping against the hull. Once. Twice. Then again. Slow. Heavy. Deliberate. The kind of tapping done by something that could think. Commander Halle stared at the ceiling. "Are we being scanned?" "No known scan pattern," Mark replied. "This is something else." The tapping stopped. Silence drowned the room again. Then the ship's lights flickered. The navigation screen blinked red. The autopilot disengaged. The engines slowed without command. "What's happening?" A pilot yelled. "Something's draining our power. Backup systems aren't responding." Commander Hale's eyes hardened. "Everyone stay calm. Keep manual control." Sergeant Lyra raised her rifle, even though it could not help against whatever was outside. It made her feel ready. Mark checked the power readings. "Sir, this force is not damaging us. It's examining us." "Examining?" Halle repeated. "Yes," Mark said. "Like it's touching us to see what we are." Across the galaxy, aliens called humans reckless. But right now, every human on the ship felt a real, deep fear. It was the kind of fear that reached the bones. Suddenly, everything stopped. The lights returned. The engines stabilized. The ship regained full power. And the thing outside vanished. What the hell was that? A pilot whispered. No one answered. The horizon spear continued forward. Hours passed. The crew remained tense. They scanned every corner of space, expecting the creature or whatever it was to return. Finally, the fog-like darkness cleared, revealing a huge field of wrecked alien ships. Some were small, some were the size of cities, all destroyed, torn in half, melted, crushed, burned. Mark pressed a hand against the glass. "I've never seen destruction like this." Commander Halle nodded slowly. This wasn't a war zone. This was a slaughter. Even Sergeant Lyra went quiet. She looked at the ships with new fear, then at the path ahead. "If this is what happened to alien fleets," she said softly, "what chance do we have?" Hale's reply was firm. "The same chance we always have. We fight until our last breath." The wreckage field ended, and for the first time, the colony's planet appeared on screen, small, cracked, and blackened like coal. Smoke rose from its surface. No lights, no movement. Just silence. Mark felt his heart sink. Are we too late? Commander Holly stared at the screen. "We will find whoever is left. Even if it's one person." The ship began its descent toward the burned world. As they drew closer, the sensors suddenly pinged. "Life detected. Multiple. Buried deep." Mark gasped. "Sir, survivors. There are survivors under the ground." The crew lit up with hope, but only for a second, because another alert flashed instantly after. "Warning. Unknown hostile mass rising from surface." Sergeant Lyra gripped her weapon. "Well, looks like we're not alone." Commander Holly stood tall. "Everyone, battle positions. The galaxy ran from this thing. We won't." The Horizon Spear prepared to land, and something ancient and monstrous rose from the planet to meet them. The Horizon Spear hovered above the burned colony, its engines humming like a heartbeat in the silent dead air. Smoke curled from the shattered buildings. Black ash covered everything. It looked like the world itself had been carved open by claws. Inside the ship, everyone watched the screens showing the rising hostile signal. "What is that thing?" Mark asked, his voice shaking. "No data," the navigation officer replied. "No shape, no life signs, no structure. Just mass." Sergeant Lyra leaned closer to the screen. "Mass? What kind of creature has no shape?" Commander Holly answered without blinking. "Something that doesn't need one." The warning alarm beeped faster. "Hostile approaching. Distance 600 meters. The crew prepared for landing. Holly gave a short, calm order. "Touchdown. Weapons ready." "We find the survivors." The pilots lowered the ship into the cracked ground. Dust exploded upward. The landing gear pressed into black soil that crumbled like burnt bone. The ramp opened with a hiss. Hot air hit them, thick, heavy, smelling of burned stone and something rotten. Sergeant Lyra stepped out first, her boots crunching ash. "Stay close," she said. "Nothing here is friendly." The rescue team followed. Mark held a scanning device that beeped faintly toward the underground life signs. "They're below. Maybe inside a bunker," Commander Holly nodded. "Move." They crossed the ruined colony. Houses were flattened. Metal was twisted. Something had torn through every building with brutal strength. Mark felt sick just looking at it. "Humans didn't do this," he said softly. "No species we know could," Holly replied. They reached the center of the colony, a giant crater. Deep and dark. The ground trembled. Everyone stopped. Then the tremble happened again. Stronger. Something massive was coming out of the crater. Sergeant Lyra raised her rifle. "Eyes up. Here comes the thing the galaxy is scared of." From the darkness, a shape began to rise, but not a clear shape, not a creature with limbs or a face. It looked like living smoke mixed with liquid metal, shifting, twisting constantly, changing. At times it formed spikes. At times it formed eyes that blinked, then vanished. It absorbed light. It swallowed sound. Every breath the humans took felt heavier. Mark whispered, "What is that?" The creature's body pulsed. The air turned cold. The ground cracked under its weight or lack of weight. It felt like gravity bent around it. Then they heard it. A voice, but not spoken. Not heard by ears. It slid into their minds like cold fingers. Leaf, fresh, warm. Mark gasped and covered his ears, even though the sound wasn't there. Sergeant Lyra growled, It's trying to talk inside our heads. Hale's jaw clenched. Ignore it. Focus. The creature grew taller, stretching toward them. Parts of it dripped, but never touched the ground. It was like it existed halfway in this world and halfway in another. Then it lunged, not fast, not slow, just wrong, like space bent to move it forward. Sergeant Lyra fired instantly. Blue energy bolts hit the creature and passed through it like smoke. The bolts exploded behind it, melting rock. No effect. She shouted. The creature pulsed again. A shockwave of black force slammed into the team, throwing them back. Mark hit the ground hard and rolled across the ash. Get up. Hale yelled. Mark staggered, coughing dust. The creature's voice filled their minds again. Warm. Alive. Consume. Sergeant Lyra stepped forward, fearless. You want warm? Try this. She fired a solid round explosive, something designed for armored targets. It hit the creature. For 1 second, the creature rippled violently, as if confused, as if it felt something for the first time. Then it reformed. Hale saw it. It reacts to physical force, not energy. Then hit it harder. Lyra shouted. The creature lunged again, forming a claw of shadows. Hale grabbed Mark and pulled him aside as the ground where they stood cracked open like paper. Move. Spread out, make it chase you. Hale commanded. The humans scattered. The creature shifted, chasing heat signatures. Every time it got close, Lyra and 2 soldiers struck it with concussive rounds. The creature recoiled, as if annoyed but not wounded. Then Mark's scanner beeped loudly. Commander! The survivors! They're right beneath this crater. Hale's eyes widened. We can't fight this thing forever. Sergeant Lyra shouted. Then we buy time. Go get them. Hale grabbed Mark's arm. You're with me. We get those people out. Lyra smirked. And I'll babysit the nightmare. Hale nodded, once trusting her with his life. He and Mark ran toward the underground entrance. Behind them, Lyra faced the creature alone. It towered above her, forming dozens of blinking eyes. She lifted her rifle, cracked her neck, and whispered, Come on then. Show me why everyone ran from you. And the creature answered her challenge with a roar that shook the dead world. Sergeant Lyra stood alone in the crater, facing the shifting monster made of shadows, metal, and something older than fear itself. The wind around her spun in tight circles, pulled by the creature's presence. Ash lifted from the ground like dark snow. Behind her, Commander Hale and Mark were disappearing into the underground tunnel to reach the survivors. She had one job: buy time. No matter what, the creature towered above her, twisting into impossible shapes. At moments it was tall, then wide, then long like a serpent. Eyes blinked across its body, hundreds of them, watching her with cold hunger. Lyra spat dust from her mouth. Yeah. You look scary. Come try something. The creature lunged. Lyra rolled aside just as a massive spike shot from its body and struck the ground where she had stood. The impact cracked the earth like lightning. Dust exploded upward. She fired 2 concussion grenades into its center. Thump. Tenjun, creature's form rippled violently. It staggered, not from pain but from confusion. Lyra grinned. You don't like that, huh? The creature screamed, not a sound, but a vibration that came from everywhere and nowhere. The air shook. The ground trembled. Lyra staggered, but she stayed on her feet. You'll have to scream louder. The creature shifted and formed dozens of spear-like arms that shot toward her. Lyra dove behind a broken metal wall. The spears hit it like hammers, punching holes straight through. She slid out from the other side and ran across the cracked ground. 2 other soldiers, Kerr and Uni, joined her from the ridge. We're here, Kerr shouted. Let's hit this thing together. Uni added. Lyra didn't waste time. Same plan. Keep its attention. Don't let it near the tunnel. All 3 soldiers spread out, attacking from different angles. Uni launched a shock mine. It exploded beneath the creature, lifting it partly off the ground. Kerr fired round after round of sonic bullets. The creature convulsed, its form breaking. Apart for a moment, then it reformed, angrier, faster, more solid. You resist. Warm. Stubborn. The creature whispered inside their minds. Kerr shouted, "Get out of my head." Lyra yelled to both. "It doesn't understand how we fight. Use that." The creature suddenly turned into a whirlpool of dark mist and rushed toward Kerr. "Kerr, move!" Lyra screamed. But Kerr wasn't fast enough. A tendril of black smoke wrapped around his leg and lifted him into the air. The smoke began to tighten like it wanted to crush him slowly. Kerr screamed, "It's freezing! It's draining my heat!" Uni tried to shoot the tendril, but the bullet passed through. Lyra's face hardened. She grabbed a thermal charge from her belt, sprinted toward Kerr, and threw it at the tendril. The charge burst into a bright ball of heat. The creature recoiled violently, dropping Kerr. Kerr fell to the ground, coughing and shivering. Lyra pulled him up. "You alive?" "Barely," Kerr managed. "That thing. It wants heat." "Then let's give it something hotter than us," Lyra said. From her belt, she pulled a flare bomb used for melting ice on frozen moons. "Hey, Shadow." "Freak," she shouted. The creature turned all its eyes toward her. Lyra activated the bomb and threw it. The explosion was blinding white light. Intense heat, a sound like thunder. The creature screamed again, but this time not in confidence. This time it shrank, its form shaking violently. Kerr laughed weakly. "You actually hurt it." Lyra smirked. "Yeah, and now we keep hitting until Holly gets those people out." Underground. Holly and Mark rushed through narrow tunnels lit only by emergency lights. Dust fell from the ceiling with every tremor. "Mark, find the survivors." Holly said. Mark scanned the walls. "This way." They reached a heavy steel door. Someone inside was dragging a metal pipe across the ground, making noise for attention. Mark knocked 3 times. "We're humans, here to help." Lock snapped open. The door cracked. A trembling alien child peeked out, eyes wide with terror. "You came. You actually came," she whispered. Behind her, dozens of aliens huddled together, tired, bruised. "Frightened, but alive," Halle said. "We don't have long. Follow us." On the surface, the creature was changing. It stopped lunging wildly. It stopped screaming. It began watching. Learning. Its body grew thicker. Its movements became sharper. It was adapting to human attacks. Lyra saw it happening and cursed under her breath. "It's getting smarter." Kerr shouted, "Commander Halle needs more time." Uni pointed at the crater. "Buy him time." Lyra raised her weapon, breathing hard. "Fine," she said. "Let's show the galaxy how Deathworlders stall a monster." She ran at the creature full speed. The creature roared. The battle for time had begun. Commander Halle guided the frightened aliens through the narrow underground tunnel, one hand holding his flashlight, the other supporting a weak elder who could barely walk. Mark walked beside him, carrying a small alien child who clung to his uniform like she feared the darkness itself. The ground trembled above them. Dust rained from the ceiling. Halle whispered, "Lyra is still fighting. Hold on, Sergeant." Mark swallowed. "She can't hold it forever. That thing is learning." "I know," Halle said, voice steady. "That's why we must move faster." They reached a split in the tunnel. One path was collapsed. The other was barely open, just wide enough for one person at a time. Halle tested the air. "Fresh oxygen is coming from this path that leads back to the surface. Everyone follow me." But the aliens hesitated. A mother clutched her son. A young man shook his head. An elder whispered, We thought no one would come, for days, for nights. We thought we were forgotten." Halle knelt down so they could see his calm eyes. "You were forgotten by them," he said softly, "but not by us." The words hit the aliens like sunlight after a storm. Slowly, they began to move, above the surface. Sergeant Lyra was bleeding from her forehead. Kerr had bandages wrapped around his arm. Uni limped as she fired another blast. The creature was bigger, not twice the size it had been when they first landed. Its shape was sharper, more focused, its movements faster. Its eyes tracked the humans with frightening intelligence. Lyra spat blood. "It's adapting. Damn thing learns like a machine." Kerr replied. "Then we make sure it learns fear." He launched another shock mine. Boom! The creature staggered again, but recovered. Quicker than before, Uni gasped. "Lyra, we can't do this much longer," Lyra interrupted, eyes blazing. "We don't need to win. We just need to delay." The creature surged forward like a wave of liquid darkness. Lyra shouted, "Spread out!" They scattered, firing as they ran, forcing the creature to chase the brightest heat signals. Every second they survived was another second. Holly had to rescue the survivors. Back in the tunnels, Holly and Mark reached a metal ladder leading to an emergency hatch. Mark climbed up, turned the wheel, and pushed the hatch open. Bright, smoky. Daylight poured in. Holly looked at the aliens. "Go up, quickly." One by one, they climbed. Some cried when their heads reached the surface. Some covered their eyes. Some kissed the air as if greeting life again. Mark helped a small alien girl. "Climb," she whispered. Will the monster get us?" Mark smiled softly. "Not while humans are here." But his smile faded when he heard a distant roar outside. Mark whispered, "Commander, Lyra can't hold that thing much longer." "Hails." Face tightened. "Then we get these people to safety now." Surface, moments later, the aliens emerged into the open through the hatch. The scene that greeted them was hellish. Buildings crushed, smoke everywhere, sky swirling like a storm, and the creature huge now hunting the three humans who stood between it and the tunnel. Alien survivors froze in terror. What is that?" One elder whispered. Mark climbed out and pointed at the soldiers fighting the creature. "That," he said, "is why you're alive." The aliens watched in disbelief as Lyra sprinted across the burned ground, firing a flare. Bomb straight at the creature's eyes. It screamed again, louder than before. Holly climbed out next and shouted, "Everyone, move toward the ship. Stay low." The aliens began running toward the horizon spear, stumbling, crying, holding each other. Holly and Mark guarded them from behind. Uni called out across the battlefield, "Commander." "They're out." Lyra smiled, a tired, grim, proud smile. "Good, then we end this part." But the creature noticed the fleeing aliens. All of its eyes turned toward them. It changed direction. It charged. The ground cracked under its weightless mass. The air turned freezing cold. Holly shouted, "It's going for the survivors. Stop it." Lyra didn't think she acted. She sprinted forward and jumped directly into the creature's path, firing 3 explosive rounds. Boom, boom. The blasts hit the creature like meteor strikes. Its body twisted, rippled, then turned into a massive black wave that swallowed Lyra whole. "Lyra!" Kerr screamed. The creature lifted itself, reshaped, and roared a roar so deep even the ground seemed to cry. Mark grabbed Hale's arm. "Commander, she saved them. We must get the survivors on the ship." Hale's teeth clenched. He wanted to run to her. But he also knew what Lyra knew: mission first, survivors first. "Humanity last." He shouted. "All units retreat to the ship, now!" Kerr and Uni ran backward, firing to slow the creature. Holly and Mark pushed the aliens up the ramp of the horizon spear. Inside the ship, alarms blared. The engines roared. But outside, the creature was turning again, twisting, reforming, searching for new prey. The battle was not over. The horizon spear shook violently as its engines roared to full power. Smoke and dust rose around the ship while the alien survivors huddled inside, trembling and crying. Commander Halle stood at the open ramp, eyes fixed on the battlefield below. "Sergeant." Lyra had vanished inside the creature. Mark grabbed Hale's arm. "Sir, we have to go. If we stay, we all die." Halle didn't move. His jaw tightened. "I don't leave my people." The creature began to rise again, an enormous wave of black mass twisting upward like a living storm. Its shifting eyes glowed red now, filled with hunger and rage. Kerr shouted from inside, "Commander, engines overheating. If we wait, we're done." Halle looked at the terrified aliens inside the ship, then at the dark shape outside, then at the cracked ground where Lyra had disappeared. He stepped backward up the ramp. "We go," he said, voice heavy with grief. "But we come back. Lyra didn't die for nothing." The ramp-closed dot inside the Horizon Spear aliens cried quietly. Some whispered prayers. Some held their children close. One small alien girl, her eyes swollen from tears, looked at Halle. "Human, why did your soldier jump into the monster? Why for us?" Halle knelt down and wiped dust from her cheek. "Because," he said softly, "humans don't choose who deserves saving. We save anyone we can." The girl began to cry again, not in fear, but in gratitude. Mark swallowed hard. "Commander, we still have to escape. That thing is rising fast." Halle stood. "Pilots, take us up. Use every ounce of power." The pilots nodded and pushed the controls. The ship lifted off the ground. But the creature did not let them leave easily. It stretched itself upward, forming a massive spear of darkness, and shot it toward the Horizon Spear. "Brace!" a pilot yelled. The ship jerked violently as the spear struck its underside. Alarms screamed. Lights flickered. "We've been hit. Shields failing. It's pulling us down." The creature wrapped part of its mass around the ship like tentacles of smoke, dragging it slowly toward the ground. The alien survivors screamed. Halle shouted, "All power to engines." "No good. It's too strong. We're going down." Mark looked out the window and suddenly froze. "Commander, look!" A light inside the darkness inside the creature's shadowy body. Something glowed small at first. Then brighter, then blazing like fire. Halle whispered, "Lyra." The light grew stronger. A blinding burst flashed through the creature from the inside. The monster convulsed violently, its form twisting into chaos. Kerr yelled, "She's alive. She's still fighting." The creature released the ship, shrieking in a voice that shook the sky. The Horizon Spear stabilized in midair. Hale's voice cracked for the first time. "Take us higher. Don't let her sacrifice be for nothing." The ship shot upward, below them. The creature writhed, collapsing in on itself as heat and light tore through its center. Suddenly, a shape burst out of the creature, small, falling, burning with glowing fragments around it. Mark screamed, "That's her!" The ship dove downward. Kerr and Uni sprinted to the lower hatch. "Open the bay doors," Halle ordered. The doors slid open. Hot wind blasted inside. There, falling toward the broken ground, was Lyra, her armor glowing red-hot, smoke pouring from it. She wasn't moving. Kerr grabbed a cable and leaped. Uni anchored the line. "I've got her." Kerr shouted. He caught Lyra mid-air, his arms shaking from the weight. The cable jerked. Uni held on, teeth gritted. "Pull them in." Halle yelled. Together, they dragged Kerr and Lyra into the ship and sealed the hatch. Lyra lay motionless on the floor, her armor cracked, her skin burned, her breathing shallow. Mark knelt beside her. Sarge, stay with us." Her eyes fluttered open just a little. She whispered, voice rough and weak, Did we get them out?" Halle nodded, fighting tears. "All of them. Because of you." A small alien child stepped forward and gently touched Lyra's hand. "Thank you," the child whispered. You saved us." For the first time since landing, Lyra smiled. "Good," she whispered, then closed her eyes. Exhausted. She was alive. Barely, but alive. Above the planet. Horizon's spear raced upward, engines burning at full power. The creature below, still roaring, collapsed into the crater, its body shrinking, its dark mass dissolving as if the world itself rejected it. Inside the ship, the alien survivors watched in awe. One elder said in disbelief, "You humans, you are not like the rest of us." Another whispered, "When the galaxy fled, you came." Holly stood before them, tired, burned, covered in dust. "We are humans," he said. "We don't run from darkness, we light it." Mark looked at the alien survivors, safe now, alive, breathing, and felt something heavy in his chest. Hope. Hours later, word spread across the galaxy faster than light. Alien governments stared in shock at the report. Humans went where no one else would. Humans saved the colony. Humans fought the unknown, and won. For the first time in years, the galaxy agreed on something. Earth's Deathworlders were terrifying. But they were also the bravest protectors the universe had ever known. And when the next distress call reached the stars, everyone wondered, will the humans answer this one too? The answer was simple. They always would.